During COVID, I helped more people sell their homes than I helped them buy because most of my elderly clients wanted to move away from the city so that they would be far away from being infected. So I would sell their home here in the city and then refer them out to a local client in the town they wanted to move to. In fact, not just the elderly, even the young people chose to move away from the cities during this period. Now that we're out of the pandemic, some of these people want to move back and a lot of them love living there. Why is there still such a huge demand for suburban living? Hey everyone, it's Gourav Khatri and I help people buy, sell and invest in real estate all over the GTA. And in today's video, I'm going to go over the advantages of moving out of cities and into remote towns and some of their drawbacks. If you are thinking of selling your home and moving to the suburbs, then make sure to read my easy guide that helps you with the process of selling your home. It goes over how you can prepare and market your home to get the maximum amount of buyers on the table so that you can get top dollar for your home. Make sure to comment down below and I will send it over. Affordable housing. One of the biggest advantages and reasons of moving to the suburbs is how affordable housing is. You can literally buy a house for the price of a condo in a major city. With the advent of work from home, more and more people are now suddenly able to afford homes because they can just live out of the city and not have to worry about the long commutes. But just being able to afford a home is not the advantage. I had this one client that was paying $2,300 a month in rent in Mississauga. He couldn't go any further because his workplace was in Toronto and an hour commute is the max he wanted to do. He had a budget of around $800,000 and wherever we looked in Mississauga, a decent place was at least $1 million. During COVID, his workplace informed him that he could work from home indefinitely. So we now started looking further and further until eventually he bought a newer built townhouse in the low $700,000 all the way in Hamilton, which is a 2-hour drive from Toronto. His monthly payments are higher than the rent he used to pay, and it's been 2 years since he bought the place. Not only has the property appreciated in price, but he has also built a sizable chunk of equity in the home. And if he decided to sell today, he would have at least $200,000 left over. Had he decided to stay in Mississauga, he would still not have been able to afford a home, nor would have built so much equity. Raising a family. Most young families in the cities live in condo apartments. That much space is more than enough if it's just 2 young adults living in the apartment. But when you have kids or pets, you need a bigger space. Because kids need a place to play, run around, hang out with other kids, and you simply don't get that much space in condo buildings. Sure, you can take your kids to a park during the summer, but what about the rest of the year? They can't be scooped up in an apartment all the time. A house is a must to raise a family, and unless you can afford a couple $1,000,000, you're mostly going to find small houses with hardly any backyard or parking space. When moving to a smaller town, you will find bigger houses with much bigger lot sizes. There are way more parks and access to sports activities is better. Less traffic. The further you go from the city, the less traffic you will find. I had this one client that moved from Mississauga to a remote town a couple years ago. She used to live in a townhouse on a busy road and was always against letting her kids play anywhere outside the house. I went to meet her over Christmas and I found her kids playing outside the house because her new house was in one of the quietest neighborhoods. In fact, when I was driving up there, I worried less about the traffic because there was hardly any and instead enjoyed the beautiful scenery. Once I reached there, I didn't have to worry about finding parking or getting a parking ticket because the roads were super wide and there was plenty of parking space to park on the curb and no parking meters. Access to countryside. For any nature lover that lives in a major city, planning an outdoor trip can be a huge task because half the battle is getting out of the city, which can take hours. The other half of the battle is arranging rentals for outdoor equipment, especially during peak season. Why rentals? Because you most likely don't have enough space to store your kayaks, bicycles, snowboards, or in fact even a car. Whereas if you live further out from the city, your only worry is what not to take with you. You don't even need to plan in advance. I have friends that literally just hop into their car and go for whatever activity they want to. They never have to worry about arranging for equipment because they have all sorts of stuff. One even has his own boat. Living in the city cannot afford you storage or an easy access to the countryside. Employment. I've noticed that the suburbs and rural towns are much safer when compared to the cities, mainly due to the low population. There is low unemployment because there are just enough jobs to support the public, and with more migrators moving to these towns, there are more opportunities being created. In fact, there are actually vacancies for jobs and employers pay a premium for anyone willing to move there. I have this friend who worked at this resort. She got paid well, but eventually she quit and moved to another city. Just recently, The owners of the same resort reached out to her offering her a better job with double the amount of pay, but she did not take them up on the offer. Watch further and I'll tell you why, because up until now, we've only been talking about the advantages of moving out of the city. Let's talk about the disadvantages, but before we do that, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel to keep getting updates on my latest content on a regular basis. Amenities. The cities will always be more developed than the suburbs and hence attract more population. More population also means having to create more amenities with easy access to the public. Where I currently live, I'm at a walking distance from my gym, grocery stores, gas station, pharmacy, doctor's clinic, etc. That is usually not the case when you're in a remote town. For example, the whole town may just have 1 or 2 major grocery stores or gas stations. This can become a huge inconvenience, especially if the store is a monopoly in the town, because they then start charging exorbitant prices. The resort where my friend worked was doing exactly that. It was the only resort by the waterfront, and people from all over the country visited this beautiful town and wouldn't mind paying a little extra to stay there. It was in no way a 5-star property, but the prices sure were, which is why they could afford to pay my friend double the salary. The reason she did not take the offer was because she had a medical condition that needed a specialist, and there was only one clinic in town, and all they could do was refer her out of town, which brings me to my next point. Distance. Small towns are quite far away from what I like to call civilization. That's a huge reason why people don't want to move to the suburbs. I have clients that have their doctors, therapists, and even their families living in the cities. Currently, they can get to these people within minutes, but living in a remote city, it would take them hours. Forget about traveling. In case of an emergency, it would take an ambulance or a fire truck quite a bit of time to get to you. Living in the city offers you convenience. A few of my clients that had made the decision to move out to the suburbs are now regretting it because their workplace is asking them to come back to the office on a regular basis. That's almost 1.5 to 2 hours of commute each way, which is a total of 3 to 4 hours that they could be spending with their families instead. Lack of entertainment. Cities offer a wide variety of entertainment options. You got movie theaters, bars, restaurants, festivals, etc. In a multicultural city like Toronto, you get to have different experiences every day. There are often music, sports, and comedy events happening somewhere or the other. However, living in the suburbs can get quite boring due to the lack of entertainment. Most of the entertainment you're enjoying is on the TV. Sure, you get access to the outdoors, but that's mostly it. In a lot of these small towns, if you do want to hang out with someone, it's usually at their home or that one bar or coffee shop. And if you do decide to go to the city to say the Leafs game, then that whole experience is ruined by the commute. It's even worse if you're driving because you will not be able to drink. Let me know in the comments if you prefer living in the city or the suburbs. If you are thinking about your next move, then let's have a chat.